Welcome to Hope for Everybody, a channel that exists to highlight people and places that are all about providing hope to people in need. Check out today's episode.
Welcome to HOPE Prison Ministries, and I'm here this morning with Curtis Taylor, who's the Executive Director for the Bob Barker Foundation.
Yes, sir.
Curtis, thanks for joining me this morning.
Pleasure to be here.
Man, we just had you on the show for Hope for Everybody where we talked about the Bob Barker Foundation, and so we want to make sure that we'll put a link in the comments that you can go watch that on the Hope for Everybody channel. But this morning, we're here to talk about HOPE Prison Ministries and Bob Barker Foundation's decision to give us a grant of $19,000. Tell us, I know that the grant was written for the purpose of sustaining rent for the Timothy program. The Timothy program, for those of you who are watching for the first time, is drawn from 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, which encourages the young people not to let people despise them for their youth, but to be examples in word, in spirit, in purity, in conduct, so that nobody could speak evil of them. And that is certainly the goal for the Timothy program. We want those young people to learn how to be examples in word and deed, and not just be people that people fear, right?
Right.
So that's the purpose of the Timothy program. We have 3 houses devoted to this program. We work with the Texas Juvenile Justice Department. When a young man is aging out of the Texas Juvenile Justice Department, he's turning 18 and he has nowhere to go, and maybe because of his criminal history or the bridges he's burned or behavioral issues or mental health issues, developmental issues, whatever the case may be, if they don't have a place for that individual to go, they will call HOPE Prison Ministries. And so we applied to the Bob Barker Foundation. I believe I spoke to Jason. The grant was requesting $20,800, I believe, which was supposed to be 1 year of rent for one of the Timothy program houses. You guys came in just under that at $19,000. So grateful to you for that, man. That's going to make it possible for us to provide a place for those young men to live for a year.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, very grateful. Very grateful to you guys for doing that. Tell us about, for those who are watching for the first time, maybe they're nonprofits, tell us first of all, how does someone apply to the Bob Barker Foundation to receive funding? I know that you don't just give money to individuals. You have to be a nonprofit organization, right?
Correct. Tax exempt.
Yeah. So they go to the Bob Barker Foundation, bobbarkerfoundation.org, www.bobbarkerfoundation.org, and they fill out the application for the grant.
Well, if it's your first time, then the first thing you fill out is called an LOI, a letter of interest. So it's a pretty short and sweet, you know, very few questions. It's mainly to make sure that you at least meet our minimum criteria. So we want to make sure that you are indeed a 501c3 nonprofit or some type of tax-exempt entity. We want to make sure that you are focused primarily on impacting returning citizens and helping reduce recidivism, because that's all we want to support around our country. And then we want to make sure that you're also impacting at minimum at least 100 program participants within a 12-month period. Obviously, the more the merrier. We want to have that great impact and create that synergy all across our nation. But yeah, the LOI is in place to make sure that you're not wasting your time and we're not wasting ours.
If you're liking this content, don't miss out on future episodes. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Now back to the show.
Is the LOI completed online, or do they just prepare the LOI and email it?
Everything is online. It's completely web-based.
Okay.
There's actually a ton of applicants that I really never end up communicating with personally. As you can imagine, there's hundreds upon hundreds that come through.
Yeah.
My prayer is that one day we have enough money, right, to give everybody what they're asking for, especially if it's a worthwhile cause. But yes, the whole process is web-based on our grant portal.
Awesome. Wow, that's amazing. What about HOPE Prison Ministries application stood out to you guys? Obviously, you said your primary focus is reentry. Real quick side note, Bob Barker Company is basically a company that sells supplies to correctional institutions across the country. And one of the owners and CFOs or CEOs of the company basically was convicted and thought, we need to get back, we need to break the cycle of dependence on the correction systems. And so really, against their own self-interest, they decided to fund nonprofit organizations that are focused on reentry and reducing recidivism and all of those things. So what about the application from Hope Prison Ministries stood out to you of the hundreds of applications that you receive? What made you guys take an interest in us? I mean, man, by the time we submitted the application, it must have been well into the process. So we're buried in hundreds of other applications. What made our organization stand out in the mind of your people?
Well, I think first of all, the way you described it earlier, right? That very, very significant year of life, right? From transitioning out or aging out was the terminology used of the juvenile system, going from 18 to 19, 20 years old, becoming an adult, right? And, looking at your situation, you've already got a record, right? So the cards are already stacked against you. So Hope Prison Ministries coming alongside that individual, providing mentorship, providing compassion, providing wraparound services and support, housing, everything that's needed. The way my Savior helps people, right? He didn't make you jump through a lot of hoops. There wasn't a lot of red tape and bureaucracy surrounding the help that Jesus gives. Thank God, right? Because if I had to meet any kind of criteria when I needed His help, oh man, I have no idea where I'd be today. So that's what stood out to us primarily, I think, about your particular program. Your recidivism rates kind of speak for themselves and your success, but just in general, just the heart and the spirit that spoke to us regarding your application.
We're so grateful to you for that, the opportunity that we have to house these young people, because, when they get out, they have no funding. The state doesn't offer any funding most of the time. Mm-hmm. They're just coming to us with nothing. And I love the old hymn, nothing in my hand I bring, simply to the cross I cling.
That's right? It.
And so that's the way we look at these young people. And when one of our primary funders, when he first became a part, he said, Chandler, man, you got to stop giving scholarships. He said, when your ministry supports your salary, then you can start giving scholarships. But as long as I'm paying your salary, you kind of need to cut that out. And, he said, but when I asked him about the Timothy program and these young people getting out, he said, oh yeah, we got to do that. We got to help them because they literally will not have anybody else.
Yeah.
So we are so thankful to the Bob Barker Foundation for allowing us that opportunity. We're keeping this short today because we just did a really long interview on the Hope for Everybody channel, and I want to encourage you in the comments to go check that out. And I want to thank Curtis so much for being here with us today. We're about to go have a tour and let you see kind of what you're supporting.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Curtis.
Appreciate
you, brother.
Yes, sir.
If you'd like to be a part of the show and tell us your story, please visit us online at hopeforeverybody.org.